Hello everybody, this is James at the Martial Archive. In this video we're going to look at Thai lobby cards for Thai films that I've accumulated over the last few months. Many of you watching might have some interest in Thai films but not know much about them. I'm just going to go through, show the pictures, and I'm going to tell you what the film is called and maybe say a couple of comments along the way. This did take quite a while to do because I got a poor memory and I can't remember all of the specifics. I can read the Thai names but I can't remember the translations to English, and I'll go through and tell you all of that. I'll cut out the bits where I'm looking stuff up. But before we get to that, I completely forgot about this. I've had this sitting around since the 28th of August last year. So I've had it for 8 months now, and I was going to complain about it and I forgot, and it's just sat there for 8 months. Now, these cards were sent to me in a box which was this big, and these and the other 4 sets that this idiot sent were put in the box. You just, and when you bend card, you get folds in it and you get lots of damage around the folds. Luckily for me, he had bent these enough to get them in the small box, but not enough to do that damage. It was close, but I was quite lucky. And after leaving these under some heavy stuff for a few weeks, they managed to pretty much level out. Why does he do that? It's really stupid. And then this guy I bought a lobby set from, and he rolled the lobbies and put them in this tube, and he didn't even put a second end on the tube. There is one end but not the other. He just left it open. He didn't send it by normal post, he sent it with one of the smaller services, like the next day delivery. And I guess he thought, well, it'll be alright like that. And they don't come out, I must admit. They're actually too long to fit the tube, so he couldn't put the other end on. So after having been stuck in here for 8 months, I'm a bit annoyed about it, because they're going to be so wound up. I have to really try and flatten these down. Yeah. Thankfully, they do not seem to have any bad damage. This is a film called Jet Payak Nang Su, which means 7 Tiger Fighters, and it's got Sarapong Chatri in it, who died a few weeks ago. I'll show you these some other time when they've been flattened down. It's too annoying trying to hold them all apart. This is one of the films from the 90s when his career was really winding down. Sarapong started out in really the late 60s. He was in a late 60s, early 70s. He was in a couple of Michai Bancha films in the background, and Mick died in 71. So all throughout the 70s and the 80s, Sarapong was quite big. Really in the 70s, there was Michai Bancha who died, then Sombat Metene came along, and Sombat was the big dog, and Sarapong was really under Sombat's shadow for a very long time. But then in the kind of mid to late 80s, Sombat started doing less, and Sarapong became like the big star in Thailand at that time. By the mid 90s, when that film was made, he was in really low budget, bad films. But then most of what was being made at that time were low budget, bad films. So it's not really his fault, it's just that's what there was at the time. Alright, next up, one of the biggest companies in Thai films is called 5 Star. And this is one of their more recent, well, I say more recent, they're still making stuff today, so not that recent. But they were around since the 70s and the 80s. They've been going for a very long time. This film was in 1999 shortly after the financial crash. Now I don't actually have these listed, so I should make sure that that's amended right now. It's a film called The Extra Legal, which I must admit I haven't watched. My records say I got the poster, but it doesn't say anything about the film. I thought I had it on video. I need to check that. My records are not 100%. Sometimes I miss things by accident. Sometimes I think I'll do it later and I forget to. So I need to check on that. I think I got the video over there somewhere. I'll go and have a look later. It looks like a half decent action film, and I really rather want to watch it. I do have a video player, but I never use it. It's sitting over there somewhere. And as I mentioned in the last video with the Thai cards for Hong Kong films, there's a set where they use the same picture in the cards twice. Well, here we have helicopter and helicopter. I thought I saw it a third time. Alright, only twice. It's the exact same picture. They just used a bigger version of it. It's kind of dumb when they do that. I don't know why people do that. Alright, I've got to look this one up. What's this called? Due Rak Mayru Jap. This film is called Due Rak Mayru Jab, which I've got down means endless love. That can't be right though, because Mayru is don't know. Due means two. Two, T-O-O. To love, I don't know, finish. So Due Rak Mayru Job is like, we love to but we don't know, and then it finishes. Endless love. Alright, maybe. I don't know. It's from 1991. It's made by Coliseum Films. Coliseum did some quite good action films in the past. All of their films are very hard to get, unfortunately. So let's have a look. Just like a plain old drama. None of the actors are particularly famous. I haven't got any actors' names listed. I don't recognise any of them. I've got to go through and read and translate the credits. I can read quite well, but sometimes I make mistakes. Anyway, let's move on. Next up, SARS Wars. Yes, it's supposed to sound like Star Wars. This is from 2004. You won't know any of the people in it, but it stars Suthep Bongnam. And unfortunately, one of the cards has been badly printed. I don't know if they're all like this, or if it's just I got a bad one for some reason. But it's like they printed the same picture twice, but slightly skewed on top. Maybe it's supposed to be 3D. Should get some 3D glasses out and check. But only on that card, none of the others. And it's about zombies, really. Bird flu turning people into zombies, and there's a building full of them, and people are going around killing zombies, trying not to get killed. It's all very silly, but it's kind of fun. And here's a little aside for anyone who's interested. This zombie with the bald head is an Australian gentleman. His name is Andrew Biggs, and he's a very well-known English language teacher in Thailand. I don't know why, but he became quite famous, and he ended up writing a column for the Bangkok Post newspaper. Every Sunday they'd have a magazine called Brunch, and he would write a comedic column about life as a foreigner in Thailand. Always really fun to read. I don't think he's still doing them. I think the Bangkok Post is now electronic only. I don't think he's doing it anymore. But Andrew Biggs, I really enjoyed reading your columns in Brunch magazine. They were really funny. And in the film, they're trying to talk to him, and he just zombie. And one Thai guy says to the other, "He's a foreigner. Maybe he doesn't speak Thai. Try talking to him in English." It's really silly, but I love that bit. Anyway, Star Wars. Alright, next up we have a film about football. This is called Goal Club. There's actually at least 3 Thai films about football. There's one called Lucky Losers, and there's one that I think is about a transsexual football team, maybe. I forget the name of that one now. The name from Thai doesn't really translate to English well, but English title Goal Club. And again, no famous actors in here. I don't know any of them are. They're quite small cards. Anyway, Goal Club. Seems to be some kind of comedy about playing football. I got it on DVD, but there's no English subtitles, so I never watched it. Actually, it's probably right here. I bought it quite recently. Oh, alright. I don't know where I put it. Anyway, it is on DVD. I think I saw there is a DVD with English subtitles somewhere, like maybe Germany or something. I'm not completely 100% up to date with which Thai films are being released where in the world, so it's possible, I suppose. Alright, now, there are a few real treats in here, some really rare stuff. And the next set is one of them. This is a film called Nak Lang Computer. Nak Lang is like a gangster, and computer. This is from 1972, and this has Sarapong Chatri, Sambat Metani, and Tun Hiransap, who you probably never heard of, most of you. Unfortunately, this card's been rubber banded, which is not good, but the other 9 cards are still quite good. And, well, I haven't got rubber band on the back. But it looks like quite a good wacky comedy, something about a robot. I would definitely watch. I've got the VCD, but I've never watched it. I don't actually have the poster yet, but it's quite a common poster. It turns up quite often. I'll have to get that at some point. And the guy with the hat is Tun Heran Sub, who throughout the 80s was quite popular. As I mentioned, in the 70s, when Mikchai Bancha died, Sombat became the big dog, and you had Sorapong who lived in his shadow. Then when Sombat kind of drew back in the 80s and started doing a lot less, he had the world record for the most movies at one point. He did like 819 movies or something. There's an Indian guy who's done 1,500. But Sombat stopped making so many movies, and Sarapong became like the big dog, and Toon took Sarapong's place, if that makes sense. As like a popular actor who people like, but he wasn't like the big star as Sarapong at that point. And Toon made quite a lot of films. I don't really like Toon very much. He often made films with Jaruni Suksawat, and Jaruni's okay, I quite like her, but I don't think they really had good chemistry together. And next up, this is another rare treat. This is a very, very rare film. All I've had on my list for 10 years is that it was made in 1982, because that's all anyone knew. And unfortunately, it's only 7 lobbies, but the moment I saw them and realised what it was, I said I must have them, even though it's not a complete set, because this is a very unknown rare film. The film seems to be totally lost. It's called Ainum Rot Thai, which means Young Man Tractor. It's about a young man with a tractor, and it stars Sarapong Chatri again. So, even though the film itself is completely lost, there are still some lobby cards that show Sarapong riding on the tractor. So we know this film did really exist. Never seen a poster for this film either. It's just super rare. Good stuff to have. Rares are good. Even though the film itself looks dull as dishwater, I must admit, I am not that interested in the film at all, frankly. But if it does ever turn up, I'll watch it just because I can. What's this one called? Korsam Sai. Something about a musical instrument. Samsai. Right, sorry, Sor Samsai is the name of a Thai 3-stringed fiddle. Now you can see in the picture there. It's kind of like in Japan they have the shamisen. Kind of like that. Thailand has many of the same or similar instruments to other people, but they call them different things. But unlike the shamisen, which you play with a massive spatula, this one's played with a fiddle, more like a violin. Quite an odd thing. So Sor Samsai, it's a Thai musical instrument, like a shamisen, but you play it with a bow. And this film is from 1988. And the lead actor is a man called Yoranan, who I've never liked. He always does dramas, and I just don't like any of them. But he was in quite a lot of films, and people seem to like him. Right, next up, another super rare. I keep saying it, but these are so rare, it's ridiculous. Occasionally, something comes up for sale. The moment you see it, you just go, I must have it! This was one of those things. So you had Sombat, who was a big dog, and then you had Sorapong, who was also very popular but not as much. And then you also had Krung Shi Wilai. And this is one of Krung's films. Krung was around in the late 70s, and this is a film from 1977 called Isak Lek, which means Mr. Rough Iron. So 77. That means these are 45 years old. And set of 8. And I saw the picture and I thought, oh no, it's going to be really expensive. And I saw the price. I was like, that's not that expensive. I was quite shocked at how low the price was actually for what they are. So of course I jumped on them immediately. So this is Krung Shi Wilai, who's actually bald and wore a wig for most of his films. There was a wig called The Chaser where he took the wig off, and it was quite a surprise to see him bald. I don't know how much of an open secret it was that he was wearing a wig all these years. And this guy in the hat and the bright coat, this is Geisha Pliamwiti, who died last year. I was really sad when he died. Oh, to be fair, he was like 95 or something. I really like Geisha, and I tried to meet him. There's another actor called Dan Daskorn, and in many of the films in the 70s and 80s, Geisha would play the big bad boss, and Dan Daskorn would usually be his henchman. And I met Dan a few times, and they were still really good friends. So I managed to get from him Geisha Pliamwiti's phone number, and I got my Thai friend Bom to call the phone number, and we managed to get hold of the maid, and she left a message for his wife, and Bom spoke to his wife, who said he's old, he's frail, and I'm not letting anyone near him. Oh, so sad. I really wanted to let him know how much I appreciated his work as a villain in films. He was really good. Always wearing a hat, chomping on a cigar, drinking alcohol, and he oozed charisma. He's really good. I loved him so much. I'm sad about that. Right, next up, this film is known. I've had the poster for a very long time, but the actual film itself seems to be missing. Gamnan Sua Bang Nok. Not sure about that word. Gamnan Sua. And so Gamnan is a village chief, There it is. Gamnan Sur Bang Nak Kuak, village chief tiger of Bang Nak Kuak. Bang Nak Kuak must be a place. And again, it's Sarapong Chatri. This is from 1994, when people were making mostly rubbish films. This one actually looks okay though. Again, when I saw these, I was quite surprised, because nobody's ever had pictures. If you look on the internet for this film, you might find a picture of the poster, but even searching in Thai language, you won't find these pictures anywhere. The lobbies are pretty hard to find. So I was very happy when I got my hands on these. A lot of rare Sarapong here. Right, the next lot. This came from the same guy I got a lot of the Hong Kong stuff from. And he has sold a set of 10. And I saw that he sold them after they were gone. I was like, oh no, I missed it. And then he knew I wanted them, and later on he got 8. And I said, no, I'm not going to buy 8 when I know a full set is 10. I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to wait. See if you can find the 2 missing cards. I know you got a big pile of stuff there. Look for the other 2 cards, and if they turn up, I'll take it. I really hate when this happens. You can't get them back in. I'll go back to it later. So he sold 10, then he had 8, and I said, I'll wait. And then all of a sudden he had a set of 12 to sell. So I got the extra 2. So, set of 12. Now this is a film called Grassu, which is not easy to say. And Grassu is this kind of ghosty thing where the head detaches from the body along with the spinal column and internal organs and goes flying around looking for things to eat. It's very well known from the film Mystics in Bali, Indonesian film. You also have it in Malaysia, but they call it different names. I think in Malaysia and Indonesia something like Perigatan they call it. And in Mystics in Bali there's a really famous scene where there's a pregnant woman led on her back at night, and I think it's raining outside, and the Grassu comes in through the window. You see the point of view shot looking over the belly through the legs, and the Grassu goes down there and goes, and you see the bump in the belly go as a baby sucked out. It's really, really silly. But Thai people are very superstitious and they believe in this stuff. They got all kinds of different ghosts. Takian, Tani, Pret, all kinds of weird stuff. Now here we have Grassu with really terrible special effects. To be fair, it is quite an old film. And Thai films were always cheap on the effects. I'll never accuse them of having good special effects, frankly. This film is from 1982. It's got Pisamai Wilaisak in it, who's quite a famous actress in Thailand. Here you can see artwork of the Grassu. It's not a pretty sight. I don't like looking at them, frankly. But there are a number of films with Grassu in Thailand. At least 10, maybe more. Really. One of the better ones, there's a film called Grassu Sao. Grassu Lady, or Lady Grassu. And that film was lost in Thailand, but it was released on video in Europe. And my friend Jupe paid an obscene amount of money. It's actually in Sweden. This guy in Sweden had it on tape, and Jupe paid, I don't know how much, he said it was very expensive, so I don't know what that means exactly, but he paid to buy this one Swedish tape that was known from this guy, and luckily I managed to get a copy of it. Starring Sombat Metene and Pisamai Wilaisak, 1973. And it's not a great film, but it is very rare. There were a number of Thai films released in Europe, in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and it's good when these things turn up. It's always interesting. Some Thai films have recently turned up in the UK. I'll talk more about that at some later point when there's something interesting to talk about. Anyway, next film. Sadly, this card got a bit bashed. I don't know if you can see, but across the middle there's some pretty bad damage. Got to get the light to shine the right way. Anyway, what film is this? Pugan Duat. It's a good thing I made this database, or I'd be totally lost. Huh? Alright, I got that wrong. Pugan Duat. Nakrob is like fighter. Pupa, I think, is mountain. Duat, I'm not sure. This film is from 1993. What does Duat mean? Duat is like angry. So it's like angry mountain fighter. And it's made by Kodak, surprisingly. Or maybe Kodak just provided the film. I think Kodak were actually the production company, or Eastman Films rather. Eastman related to Kodak somehow. And it's a pretty typical mid-90s actioner with hill tribe people. Different hill tribes have different colourful costumes, and if you know which tribe wears which costume, well, you can figure out which tribe it is, but I don't know. Just made a realization here. I got this listed as 1993, but as sometimes happens in Thailand, they've left the date from the camera on the photo, and this says 1987. So why I got it listed as 93, I don't know. It might have actually been made in 87, maybe made in 87, not released till 93. I do not know. So that's one of many mysteries to try and solve. Let me just deal with this. So this is my personal database that I made myself, and I'm still working on it. There's still some stuff missing. So Pugan Duat, angry mountain fighter. I'm trying to assign English titles to each of the films so that I can talk about them in language that English people can understand. Right, next up, this is a film called Kor Hud Ke Hud Jai, which doesn't seem to translate well to English at all, and I'm struggling with that one quite a lot. I need to ask some Thai people to help me with the English translations on some of these. Sadly, only 9 cards. I already have some cards from it, so I got the 9 on the off chance that the ones I have, actually I've only got 2. There's a small chance that one of the 2 I have will be the missing one to make this a set of 10. I need to get in the cupboard and find out one day. It's made by 5 Star Films. Looks like a comedy with a little bit of action. There's a guy with a shotgun and another guy with a rocket launcher. I haven't actually watched this one yet. I don't actually have the film. I got the poster, but the film seems to be unobtainable at the moment. I just haven't ever seen it anywhere. If I ever see a version of a film, I will note it on. I'll note it on my information. Excuse me. Yeah, so that film seems to be unavailable. I haven't ever seen it for sale anywhere. If I do see a version of a film for sale, I will put it in my notes. I'll say it's available from this company, released it on VCD, on DVD, on video, whatever it is. But I've never seen that film available for sale anywhere. Alright, now. Next up, we have a film with a very long title. This is called Gong Roy 501 Tung Jai Jat Tak Te Mai Tak Te. which doesn't seem to translate to English well. Army Company 501, alright. But then something like, my heart is content, we'll split. I'm not sure, it doesn't really translate to English. Now there's a bit of a story that goes with these. I used to have a Thai girlfriend. We split up 12 years ago, and this was when I was still with her, so more than 12 but less than 15 years ago. I found out by accident I got a book which was produced by some film industry body in Thailand and had contact details for film companies in the back. I looked up Coliseum Films because I knew they had stuff that I want to see, but I couldn't find the films anywhere. And I found out that the Coliseum office was right next to the North Korean embassy, which was quite near to where the ex-girlfriend was living. So I went one day and I just knocked on the door, and the guy who owned it was the director Comac Cadet. So I knocked on the door and said, "Hello, is Comac Cadet here?" And the girl spoke English, thankfully. She said, "Yes, he's here. Who are you? Why do you want to see him?" And I just explained, I'm a foreigner who's come to Thailand and I'm trying to learn about Thai films, and I know some of the ones that Comac Cadet made, but I can't find them. I really want to see Pet Tat Yok, Payat Li Ye, a couple of others, Luk Guan, but I can't find the films anywhere. So I'd just like to ask, like, do you still have copies of the films? Can I borrow them? Can I rent them? Can I watch them here? Are they up to buy? No, just tell me who released it, I'll try and find it. I know nothing. And she said, "Alright, wait a minute." So I'm out there for like 10 minutes waiting. And finally she comes back out and says, "Come in." Alright, cool. So I went and I sat down with Comac Cadet. And he was a very, very nice man. And he wrote down for me a list of every film that he directed. And the girl, turns out, was his personal assistant, and he asked her, "What year was this one? When do we do this? I can't remember." So he put together this personal handwritten list for me of the films that he directed, and he said, "I haven't even got copies of any of them." What? You haven't? Not even 35, 16? No, nothing. No 35mm, no 16mm, no Betacam, no VCD, no DVD, no video. I got nothing. Oh my god, couldn't believe it. I took posters of some of the films which he autographed for me. He's like, "Where did you get these? You didn't even have the posters." So I told him where I got them, and I don't know if he ever went and picked some up. But he was quite shocked. And I think he must have taken a bit of a liking to me. He said, "I got some trailers, you can at least come and see the trailers." So we sat down and watched the trailers, including this film. And what I really like about it, he wrote the script, he directed the film, and sitting there watching the trailer was like he was watching it for the first time, and he was laughing at all the funny parts like he'd never seen it before. It was really funny. I just love the guy. And I promised him, I'm going to find your films, I'm going to see them, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do an interview with you or something, talk about all your stuff. He said, "I don't know how you're going to find them because I don't have them. They're not easy to find." I found most of them since. A lot of them bootleg copies, sadly. But sadly he died, and I never got a chance to talk to him again. It broke my heart. He just had a sudden heart attack in the car one day whilst he was driving to a cinema. He owned a chain of Coliseum cinemas. So anyway, this is one of the films that he directed, and there were 2 films in the Gong Roy 501 series. I think this is the second film. And bit of a funny thing going on with this card. There's like a, you can't really see it, but there's like a square where it looks like tape, but there's no tape there. Ah, you can see it there. It just won't come up. I don't know what it is. And sadly the cards have got some bends, some digs, some damage. It's quite a good film. I have this on videotape now. There was a proper video release of it. Is it this one or the other one? I think it's this one. And those of you who have seen Ong Bak, Tom Young Goon, you might recognise this face. This was the co-star, Mun Jok Mok, or his real name Pech Tai Wong Kam Lao. This is one of his earlier film efforts. This is from 1995. I should mention, at the time that I went to Coliseum Films, even though he didn't have copies of any of the films, they moved into making TV series. So they were still functioning production outfit making TV shows. Many of which with the same titles as the films that you can't find anymore. Alright. This one's going to take ages to find. Maybe not. This has one of the most ridiculously long names I've ever seen. I just call it Skirts and Shorts Part 2. The full Thai name is Kraprong Ban Kasan Term Song Don Abdu Barbecue, which means something like long skirt and short second term peak time barbecue. It's really hard to translate to English. And it's a kind of teeny comedy made by 5 Star Films in 1994, and it's not a good film. I do have it on VCD. I think I watched it, I'm not sure. There's a part 1 and a part 2. I might not have watched part 2 yet. No, I did write a review. I gave it 4 out of 10, so I have watched it. It was mildly entertaining. None of the actors in it went on to do anything else that I know of note. None of them particularly famous. And there's quite a few films like this 5 Star put out. None of them particularly interesting. I guess if you're a Thai teen, then maybe it is interesting. Next, Len Mayak. Game don't want. It's like I don't want to play games. And it's another one of those hidden gems, which I don't actually have listed at all. Len Mayak. It's definitely Len Mayak. There it is. I put Mayak as one word instead of 2 by accident. Alright, this is a film from 1983. Starring Naorat Yuktanan, Mayora, who's quite a well-known actress, and then some other people. Mali Wetprasert, who's quite well-known, Sonjai Sukjai, and another name I'm struggling with a bit, Chrysorn Sang'an, I think it is. And unfortunately the cards have got some scratches on. But 1983, not a well-known film, not famous at all, but quite nice cards and a full set, and the price was quite good. If it's not one of the famous actors, like if it's Michai Bancha, it's going to be stupid expensive. If it's Sombat Metane, usually quite expensive. But then when it's actors that nobody knows who aren't famous, things are generally quite cheap. So I got lucky on those. Right, next we have an army film. There's quite a lot of army films in Thailand. Most of them not particularly good. Tahan Gan Bancha. Tahan Gan Bancham, which means wet conscript. I'm assuming that might be like wet behind the ears, if we say in English, meaning a new conscript. It's like an army training film, like Police Academy in the army, I guess. It is available on VCD and videotape, but I don't have it, sadly. I do have the poster as well. It stars Ekapan Balalit and Monjot Mok again, or Pech Taiwan Kamlan. Ekapan Balalit is the brother of Bin Balalit. Now, some of you watching might know Bin Balalit. If you've seen the film Battle for the Treasure, the guy playing the James Bond type character flying about on the jetpack, that's Bin Balalit. So Ekapan is his twin brother, who also made some films. But whilst Bin was around in the 80s and he did some really quite famous action films, Ekapan came along later on. I don't know why he didn't enter films with his brother. He really started around the early 90s and he was mostly in bad horror comedies that I don't like at all. So I like Bin's films generally, but I don't like Ekapan's films generally. It's just the way it is. Alright, next we got another army film, Tahan Gan Gap. Tahan Gan Gap. And I'm in trouble finding this one. Again. Oh, there it is. Gap. I'll put Gap as one word. Right, so Tahan Gan seems to be conscript, as in a new soldier, and Gab is like misfit. So it's conscripted misfits. It's another army comedy. This is from 1990, and this stars Billy Ogan, who's not around these days, but in 1990 he was big news and everybody loved him. He was like flavour of the month, and he hung around for a few years and made a few films. He was okay, he was quite funny, but none of the films were particularly brilliant. I think it was like the young girls who liked him really, and after a few years they grew up and moved on to other things. Thailand, it was like Billy Ogan and New Kids on the Block, and then you move on to take that and a different actor. I think I'm missing a card here. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, 8. Alright. 8 might be a full set, I'm not sure. Alright, next up. This is ridiculously rare. I've never seen a poster for this. I've never seen any version of the film for sale. If you look on the internet, there is not a damn thing about it. And so it is incredibly rare. The film seems to be lost. Nobody can tell me anything about it. I asked the guy I got the cards from if he's got the poster, because sometimes that does happen. He said no. So I can't even find a poster. No, pretty rare this one. And I can't find my record of it. Matator. Okay. Sometimes this happens. Here we go. Mata tua hua yunai. Body comes by itself. Where is the head? So in Thailand there's a number of films about headless ghosts. One of the older ones was with Sorapong Chatri in the mid-80s called Pi Hua Cat, Headless Ghost. And then in about 2008, 2009, when I was new to Thailand, there was another film called Kon Hiu Hua. And then a few years after that there was Headless Family. And for some reason Thai people seem to enjoy these films about headless ghosts. I don't know what it is. So I've only got the title for this. I haven't written any credits yet. But it seems to be incredibly rare. And it's one of the bad horror comedies, I guess. I don't even know what year it was. I got no information. There is nothing about this film. Even searching the title in Thai language, nothing comes up on the internet. So I need someone out there to tell me what year this was made. If anybody knows, please fill me in. I would love to find out. None of the actors are particularly well known as far as I can tell. But some nice cards, some good pictures. The moment I saw it, I knew I would have to have it. And there's a shot of the guy carrying the head. Not a good shot, it's very dark, really needs photoshopping. Oh, a bit better under better light. Right, next up, this is something that I've had on DVD for at least 12 years and never bothered to watch. I really should. Thai title is Gao Kon Lek, which seems to mean glass, hair, steel, as in metal. Strange one. English title Immortal Enemy. It's actually released on DVD in Hong Kong as well. And it seems to be kind of a vampire-y film. I really should watch it. These cards are being autographed seemingly by someone called Bo, but he did it in a biro on a black background, so you can't really see it, but it is there. It says, I think it's BL, it's hard to read, 24th of the 8th 46, so it's currently 2556 in Thailand. So this was 20 years ago. My records say it was released in 2003, so maybe 19 years ago. Anyway, should watch it someday. This actor, too much like, Kowit Watanakun. He's quite famous in Thailand. He's never the main star, but he was in a lot of the old Sorapong and Panaritikrai films in the 90s. And he's still going today, as far as I know. He was in an international film, I can't remember which one, but he was seen in a Hollywood movie. I have to try and find out. Alright, next up. This is another silly comedy. This is called Songjab Nung Jit Tonrak Top Sati Dai Mai, which seems to translate to English something like "Too remarkable, one small, when love answers, can you please?" Need to find a better English title to give it. It doesn't look good. I got it on video, but I never watched it. It's from 1996. And it looks like some kind of rom-com. None of the actors are particularly well known. I know I say that quite a lot, but even in Thailand nobody knows who they are. Thai people generally don't care about old Thai films. They prefer Hollywood. There is a small group of like 10 people, maybe 20 people who I know in and around Bangkok who actually do give a damn, and many of them I call my friends, like Juke, who I mentioned earlier, Dang, Chon, Nui, people who know about this stuff. I can't really communicate with them because none of them speak English, sadly. My friend Bomb speaks English quite well, but he's not as into the films, he likes Hollywood more. Alright, next up. This was directed by a man who calls himself Chaos. His proper name is Wichkaus Sayananda, and he went to Hollywood and directed the film Ballistics X vs. Sever with Lucy Liu and Antonio Banderas. But before he went and did that, he did this film called Fa. Fa is sky, or Sifa, color blue, and the sky's blue, so that means sky as well, but it's actually the name of a character in the film, the leading actress. And this film stars Chachai Plengpanit, who some of you might know from the IFD films. He was in some of, well, the film arc rather, he was in some of the stuff, and no one else who anybody knows. And a lot of people don't like Ballistics X versus Sever. I enjoyed the action. The plot was a bit but I enjoyed the action. According to Witch, I have a friend, Lee Mason, who's worked with Witch and knows him quite well, and Lee says that part of the problem was the studio just re-edited it and messed it all up. There's an original cut that Witch did himself, which he thinks was much better. I would like to see this original cut, but I've not managed to get my hands on it. I don't know if Witch actually has a copy or not. I'm assuming he does, but I'm not allowed to see it. Anyway, Fa, quite a good film, and I rather liked it. And I have the VCD, the video, the poster. I did have an opportunity to buy it on 35mm, but I gave it a miss because it was a bit too expensive. But it is quite a good film. Alright. There's a whole bunch of Pannas stuff, but before we get to that, we'll do the other Colosseum films that I got here. This one I always have trouble finding, it's quite difficult. Pugan. It's easier to just search for Colosseum films, because they didn't make that many. Right, not that one. Yeah, this one. Mighty Pugan Soy Tea, which I can't translate to English. My tea is like not this, and then the rest of it I've not managed to get translated to English. I need to try again sometime. Again, nobody well known in this. It's like a teen kiddies comedy film. As I mentioned just now, New Kids on the Block were quite a big deal in Thailand, as you can see from the hat. And I got it on video. I have watched this, but I don't remember. I haven't written a review. I need to watch it again at some point. Got to get the video player out and connect it up. And I got like 150 Thai videotapes over there that I need to watch at some point. This was from 1996, made by Colosseum Films. It looks okay. I'd like to see it again. Now we get to the Pannas. Ha 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 ha. So this is the stuff that I'm more interested in. There's some good stuff in there. I always like rares, but this is a film called Mission Hunter from 1988, which was released around the world by IFD under the title Dark Day Express. I've not actually seen Dark Day Express. I've seen Mission Hunter. I got the VCD, but I haven't seen the Dark Day Express version. I don't know if they cut and pasted other stuff in, or if they just dubbed the Thai film to English and released it intact. Some people out there will know. Jesus, if you ever see this, I'm sure you know. Unfortunately, I've only got 9 cards. There's one missing, but it's the first time I ever sold them for sale, and also the last time. I think I already have 1 card that I got somewhere else, and I need to try and compare to these and see if maybe it's a missing one. That happens occasionally. But anyway, this is Mission Hunter starring Pannas and the big German guy Christoph Kloppel. So here's the real money shot. There's Panna and Kloppel with the big gun. There's some good action in this film. The last 15 minutes, all kinds of explosions and fights and good stuff. It's a good film. If you've never seen it, you really should. It's pretty good. It's sometime later, I'm sorting stuff out, and I found the other Mission Hunter card, and woohoo! This is different to the other 9, so this makes 10. Unfortunately, it's rubber banded at the bottom. I've got to find a way to get this off without ripping the picture underneath. Next up, Pichikatam Song. Black Killer 2. I've got to revise these at some point. In Thailand, same as English, there are words that are similar but not exactly the same. And here we have Pechakat, which apparently is Executioner. So I should really call it Black Executioner too. You also have Mubun, which is Hitman. And there's another word that's similar again. I can't think what it is right now off the top of my head. But there's 3 words and they're like Killer, Hitman and Executioner. And I get them confused. I need to make sure that I go through and sort this out so that it's all correct. Yeah, I'm struggling with Killer right now. Naka. Yeah, Naka is Killer. Anyway. You want to call it Black Killer 2 or Black Executioner 2, whatever. I know that they're not exactly the same meaning, so I've got to make sure I get it sorted out. So this is Panaritikrai and Shuriwan Shuriyong, who was with him in many of his earlier films. And again, I think I'm missing 1 card sadly. Let's count as we go along. 1, 2, 3. That's really out of focus, that photo. Quite bad. 4, 5. Big yellow van, hard to miss. 6, 7. That's Panna's brother, who was in many of his films. And his brother actually died of alcohol poisoning, I believe, or cirrhosis or something like that. Too much alcohol, which ultimately seems to be what got Panna as well. There's a lot of names on these cards, so I'm wondering if he's listed on here. Panna's real family name is Latpana, and on here we have Pratap Latpana. So this is Panna's brother, Pratap Latpana. Next up we have Balad Banok, Country Detective, or Countryside Detective, something like that. And I had 1 card from this for a very long time, and been trying to find the full set for ages. Balad Banok, Countryside Policeman. Yeah, so this is from 1993, and this has Panaritikrai, Sompop Wongol, many of Panna's usual crew, and it's only 8 I think, sadly. It gets a bit confusing because 8 seems to be a full set, but then some of the films from the same company, Pet Panna, will have sets of 10 cards. So maybe they did 10 on the films that they thought were going to be more popular. I don't know. Alright, next. Oh, this film drove me crazy. So next we have a film called Angel of Death. And it drove me crazy because it was really hard to get a set of cards. I've now got like 8 cards spare, but some of them are duplicates. And this is the way you have to work, sadly, sometimes when you're after something particular. I've got to get everything Panna. I want to get everything that there is. So first of all, when was this? 5th of October 2015. No, that's a poster. Hold on. It's a long story. Right, so the 30th of November 2017 I got 6 cards. Then 13th of February 2019 I bought a job lot of 45 cards, which included 4 from Angel of Death, but I still didn't have a full set. And on the 14th of September 2021 someone was selling 8 cards, but 3 of those were duplicate cards, so there was 5 different cards that he was selling with 3 duplicates in there, and I had to buy those as well. And I finally managed to get a set of 8, out of those 3 different buys. It's really stupid, and I got loads of spares from this film. So if anyone's interested, let me know. You can buy the spares. Very frustrating when it's like that, but sometimes that's the way you got to do it. So this is, hold on, there's quite a few films with Angel of Death in the title. Got to find the right one. So this is original Thai title Jonarok Padet Suk, which doesn't translate to English well. It's something like pierce hell to win the fight. Something like that. It's from 1990, starring Panaritikrai, Tida Tirarat, and Kowit Watanakun, who I mentioned earlier in the vampire film, and Somsak Chai Songkram, who's quite well known in Thailand. But English title, Angel of Death. Some good shots of Panna, explosions, quite exciting. The VCD copy of the film is really quite bad quality, sadly. So it's nice to have some nice looking pictures from it, and some quite good pictures as well. Not all of them, some of them. And then the last one, this is another Panna film that I actually don't have, sadly. He did just over 100 films, and I have like 94 of them. No, 96 of them. Something like that. I'm missing a few. This is one of the ones I'm missing. So this is called Asun Rage Kon Mai Chai Kon, which translates to English as Sex Monster, Person is Not Person. Strange name. But the official English title is Devil in Action. It's from 1993. Stars Panaritikrai, Sompot Wongo, Wachara Kenla, the guy with the moustache, who's quite good, Jarun Sada, Banu Sri Sang. They're all Panna's usual guys. I haven't finished credits on any of the Panna stuff yet. They're all in a box, and they're like waiting till the end. I'm gonna go have a Panna month where I just sit there and everything Panna, and I do the credits for every film. I'm trying to get through everything else first and have that as a treat at the end. So anyway, here's Devil in Action. I got like 7 spares from the film. Then 8 comes up, so I bought them again to get the extra 1 card that I need. Annoying as it is, but again, I've got to have everything Panna. So sometimes you just got to do it. That's that. So there's all of my Thai cards. That's all the lobbies for now, everyone. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day, everyone. See you next time. Bye for now.